His Excellency General Muhammadu Buhari was born on December 17, 1942 and passed on July 13, 2025. He was buried on July 15, 2025. Flags are on half-mast all over the country. A public holiday was declared yesterday. Indeed, he was one of the longest-serving presidents in Nigeria, having served as Nigerian head of state from 31st December 1983 to August 27, 1985. He was equally a civilian president between 2015 and 2023, known as a principled man and a man of integrity. As we mourn him, our hearts goes out to his family, the people of Katsina State, and indeed Nigerians at large. Our topic on Political Circle today is Life and Times of General Muhammadu Buhari. I am Luke Mbo. Joining me today is also Barrister Nnadiume Afokansi, lawyer, human rights activist, and a farmer. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for having me.
I'm also joined on Zoom by a very close friend and ally to General Buhari. He is also a one-time gubernatorial candidate in Enugu State on the platform of Buhari's CPC, a foundation member of the APC and former Director General of the Voice of Nigeria, VON. I'm referring to Mr. Osta Okechukwu. I come to you also. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Hopper.
How did the passing of General Buhari come to you?
Well, it's going to ask me that I smiled a bit because the passing of General Buhari retired came to me just like the passing of any other human being, because rather than miss the man in death, we try to retrospect what he has been, both as a military head of state for about 2 years or more, and as a civilian president for about 8 years. And I'll anchor my discourse in this matter on the submission of Muhammadu Hassan Kuka yesterday, when he said, well, let us forget Buhari's 8 years. Let us look at him as a Muhammadu Buhari. And he was a man with a Spartan spirit, very frugal, very uncorrupt, doesn't acquire a lot of wealth, doesn't believe in such things, and disciplinarian to the core. That is him as per Muhammadu Buhari, for Muhammadu Buhari. But I also tend to disagree with Muhammadu Hassan Kuka, because the very moment you contest any election, you become a public figure. There's no way you can divorce your real self from your public office. So we have to marry two of them together. So we cannot say, let us live his 8 years and face his life as no. We have to join the two. So if you look at his first 2 years plus, from 1983 to 1985, we see a Buhari, an energetic Buhari with Tunde Diabo, that coerced the discipline in Nigerians. Coercion. You know,
I will come to that.
Okay, that's
let me move over to Abuja.
No, it's all right.
My brother, Mr. Osta Okechukwu, is standing by. Good morning. Good morning.
Network Nigeria.
Good morning. I'm not hearing.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Mute the audio.
I'm hearing you.
Are you hearing me?
No.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Okechukwu. How is Abuja?
I will thank God. We are mourning our political father.
I know. I would like to start by asking you, how the death of our former president came to you.
We have gratitude to God that he lived an eventful and successful life. In all his public service, he put up the public interest above his personal interests and had done all he could to provide infrastructure when he was heading the PTF and when he became president. He paid attention to infrastructure and also defended the Nigerian interests by opposing the neoliberal policy.
Mr. Okechukwu, please excuse me. You might have to adjust your camera. We are not seeing your face properly. You may have to adjust your camera. We are not seeing your face properly.
Is it my camera?
Yes. Now we are seeing you better. Yeah, good. You are very, very handsome face.
Muhammadu Buhari devoted his life, all his true public service, to defense of the public interest. He was under his administration, under his headship of the NNPC, that Warri and Kaduna refineries were built. And when he came as military head of state, the struggle he had with the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank was that he resisted that he cannot devalue the naira and that he will not remove fuel subsidy. Unluckily, when he came back as a civilian president, the same storm raged on. Up to the time he left office, he insisted he would not remove fuel subsidy or devalue the currency. In spite of the hard economic condition that came within his time, because by the time he became president in 2015, the oil price was below $40 per barrel. In the next 2 years of 2020, there was the COVID, so it was a lot of challenges for him. Plus, what he said himself, that how he wished he had 8 years when he was younger. So he did his best. He did the second Niger bridge. He did the standardization of rail line. He did the part of the Western Corridor, or made arrangement for the Eastern Corridor as well. And even when it became impossible to finish any of the federal roads, he categorized about 6 major roads and gave to the major companies like Dangote, Boa and others. And the southeast zone was given to MTN, Onitsha to Enugu, so that the MTN's tax proceeds will be deployed to finish that road without the encumbrances of the Federal Ministry of Works.
Mr. Okechukwu, please, I know you are a personal friend, a very close friend to General Buhari. Could you let us into his early life and lifestyle aside public life?
I told you that the storm that started in 1986 was the Structural Adjustment Program. When Professors Nzimiro, Claudia Ake, Professor Okudibanole, Bode Numade and others warned Nigerians that if you go the Structural Adjustment Program, more Nigerians will get poorer.
Could you please adjust your camera again? We are not seeing you properly. Adjust it a little bit. Okay, while Mr. Okechukwu is getting his side together, let me come to you, Barrister Vacancy.
Yeah.
Let's look at his time as a military leader of Nigeria, the president.
Yes, that's why I said we are personally like Oster, who joined us on Zoom, has a lot of insight into his both private life. He's a personal friend to him. Those of us who are not his friends, we watch him from his public life. As a president, as a head of state, between 1983 and 1985, as I said, he coerced Nigerians into a kind of a forcible discipline that we now learned the war against indiscipline, the why. I think he also introduced the monthly cleanup exercise. He made people at least see themselves as people who are not going to litter the streets with any kind of dirt. Whatever vehicle you drive, you have a dust can inside the vehicle. But beyond that, the man ruled with iron hand. We saw how he created Muhammadu in a crate and brought him back. You know, that has been characteristic. The same way he extradition then Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya to Nigeria. So, besides that, we also find the kind of whipping soldiers do to people on the roads. So that time, you find out that every street is littered with soldiers with horse whips, and people were forced to comply, whether you like it or not. So that's why I say forced discipline. It's not a discipline born out of, good governance. There is a kind of good governance you set up. It will control people's behavior naturally. If you create job, have industries around, people wake up in the morning and have something doing, you don't even find anybody who will on the streets anymore. So these are the kind of discipline we have handed Buhari to do. So during that military era, before Buhari took him down, it wasn't the best for a lot of people in Nigeria. But then the underlying factor is that he thought of coerced a kind of discipline in Nigeria. Remember, he came in about 13 years after the war. Because the war ended in 1970 and he came in 1983. So about 13 years after the war, not much of a difference. And you remember, he was a general, he was a leader in the Nigerian army.
But remember that during that time, he was working hand in hand with the late Brigadier General Tunde.
That I said it in my intro.
And things were like working.
No, I said coerced. Whether it was working or whether it was working out of fear, it was a different thing. So it was a coerced discipline. But most of those things he coerced that time lingered on with us even up to today. Monday cleanup exercise is still here with us from that 1983 date. The issue of queuing up in line for doing anything in Nigeria, he started it. Nigerians was a kind of disorganized sort of human beings. Where if you say there is something to be given to people, everybody will keep on rushing. Buhari introduced queue, so people now queue for things and then line up and get, and nothing has remained. Since people was a queue up, even if there is a fuel scarcity, people still have to queue up. Sometimes they make chaos, but all the same, that culture he imbibed in us in that time still remained. So the military era was a mixture of both good and bad, but Nigerians needed that kind of forceful discipline at that time so that we can queue in, because it was like we came out from the war and it was a lawless society, so to say. Everybody unto ourselves, God for us all. So, but he came back as a civilian leader in 2015. Naturally, age has taken a toll. And like you see, Oster said in his speech here, that he regretted he could have had 8 years during his military era when he was really very active. But then that was not to be. So he had that 8 years now. But within that 8 years, a lot of things clouded his regime. Besides the fact that he didn't even understand the economy anymore, the way the economy works, he didn't understand it. And that was why, even when he was thinking that he refused the IMF loan and refused to
can I chip in here?
Those things are economic indices that need the input of economists.
Council, can I chip in?
Foreign financial institutions like World Bank and IMF. So, but nonetheless, the underlying factor is that between that 2015 till he left in 2023, in fact, Nigeria was killed economically, financially, socially, security-wise, name it. Every aspect of the Nigerian state was in doldrum. Talk of security. He personally imported, what do you call it? His brothers from the Futajalon, the Fulani, excuse me, the Fulani herdsmen, and the killer ones that came in on the president that Jonathan will not hand over in 2015. Jonathan eventually handed over, and they refused to go back, and that has still up to today. Remember when Jonathan was in power, he sees Jonathan's decimation of Boko Haram as killing outside youths. He came here on board and tried to introduce grazing routes, as if to say cattle rearing is a national business that everybody must participate in. So these things are not, and he didn't hide his disdain for Eastern Nigeria. He calls us a small dot in a circle. We are not in a circle. He also said that he's not expecting to give something he gave to people who gave him 90% of the vote, or people who gave him 5% of the vote, referring to the Southeastern Nigeria. But then you also find out that the Southeasterners, from Enugu to Bayelsa, we are mercantile in nature. So because we are mercantile, we see a bad market when we see one. Even if you are an Igbo man and contest election, and the Igbo man sees you as somebody who will not better the laws of Nigeria, they will not even vote for you. Many Nigerians, Ojukwu, as a civilian, contested election. He didn't even win his local government. What is his name? Mogalo was in the ballot to Buhari in 2015. Nobody even know Mogalo was contesting the election. A lot of Igbo people have tried their hands in the presidency until P2P came. But you also find out that when Abiola came, the Igbo man voted for Abiola almost 95%, because the Igbo man has seen Abiola as a veritable businessman who is going to turn around the states of Nigeria. So we know a bad market when we see one. Buhari was a bad market. If he has contested the election 1 million times, he will not get 5% of the vote in the Southeast.
I think Osta, Mr. Kichuku is back.
Yes.
Mr. Kichuku, I was trying to find out how let us into the early life of the late president. Want to know, because you're close to him, how was his early life before he got into public office?
Thank you very much. But before I come to that, can I try to look into some of the assertions of the senior counsel in your studio? One, when Buhari, as I said, is one of the few leaders of this country that place public interest above his personal interest. When he came in 2015, for instance, he discovered that some state governors, majority of them, were owing salaries and pensions of workers. He looked into the coffers and made sure that 1.3 trillion was approved to settle those claims. And when some of us were asking him, sir, is it not better to do federal roads than to just pay off? He asked us, do we know what it means that a public servant or civil servant goes to work after 1 month is not paid, the next month is not paid, the third month is not paid? Do you know the impact on his children, on those he buy garri from, those he buy rice from? And it was distributed across the board. Yes, as a president, a lot of people expected him to go to Enugu, go to Anambra, go to Oyo State, go to Calabar, go to Jigawa, and know how he was expended. But it's not as simple as that. Some of these governors did not use the money for what it was meant for. When he came and also insisted that the subsistence farmers should be assisted in what he called the Ankoboras program, a lot of people misunderstood him. Like the people of this of our southeast region, we ran away from it. Very few farmers participated, and the farmers that accepted were given seedlings, fertilizer, and their land were cleared for them in partnership that the poor people should be enhanced. He said he doesn't like the people. Chief Obasanjo, an elder statesman that presided over Nigeria earlier on, that was the darling of us, that even when we when Buhari came with the right honorable Kadibo to be his vice presidential candidate, Igbo did not vote for him. When he came with Umezuoke in 2007, they did not vote for him. But that same regime, just like the Jonathan regime that the Igbos adopted as their son, they didn't do the second Niger bridge. They didn't fix Porako to Enugu. Nor did they do Enugu to Onitsha. And when we talk of even before he came, up to last few months when I was in Enugu, I went to one of the general hospitals to see one of my cousins. The bedspread there is still the PTF bedspread. Was he discriminatory? So what I'm saying about Buhari is that we agree that every other leader has his own downside. He over-delegates powers. This time around, before he left, he did what is called the Fifth Amendment, where he now guaranteed under the Constitution that any state governor or state government that wants to generate electricity, transmit and distribute electricity can do so. How many governors?
Mr. Okechukwu,
governors to adopt it.
Please, time is not our friend, and I would like you to summarize with legacies and the things we'll remember him for in 1 minute. Did you hear me?
The legacies, we cannot forget second Niger bridge. We cannot forget the second Niger bridge. He was the one that did it.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
He did it to the sovereign wealth, did the Yanko Borrowers program to empower farmers and the humanitarian ministry. Yes, it might not matter to you that somebody was giving 20,000, but the regime was doing so to help the poor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Okechukwu. Now I'll get to you, Barrister Ofokansi. Could you summarize what we'll remember the former president with?
A lot. First, Osta has read out some of the good ones they think they remember him for. I will start by saying, at least we remember him as Baba Goslow. It took him 9 months to appoint his ministers after he has gotten into office. We also remember him for the death of Nigerian youth during the NSAS. These things cannot be wiped out of our mind. We also remember him for extradition of Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya, even when Kenyan court now has slammed a lot of damages against Kenyan government and Nigerian government for the extradition. There are a lot of, we also remember him for creating Muhammadu during as a military head of state. So there are a lot of, we also remember him for his disdain for some certain sections of Nigeria, especially the eastern part of Nigeria, where he feels he got 5% of the votes and could not get whatever. So I heard what my good brother and friend talked about him about the PTA.
But from what are the good ones?
No, he has given a lot of good ones.
I want to hear from you.
Okay, well, if we talk about the good side of Buhari, well, I think, well, you know, let me also add before I go to the good side that he also succeeded in killing Nigeria, for which Tinubu is now trying to bury. So if we look at the good sides, well, I will say let me compound all the good sides which I might not remember any now to giving him about 15% performance in office. So if you rate him over 100, I'll give him 15% performance, because as far as I'm concerned, Buhari took us back by over 18 years instead of 8 years. Because if he has controlled the trajectory of Jonathan, even half of Jonathan, what Jonathan did, we won't have all these things we're having now, including insecurity, including that turn up. Today, you buy a loaf of bread with what you used to buy Beatles in those days in 98. So what good side do I think I will remember? He didn't build second Niger bridge. Well, he didn't start the second Niger bridge. Jonathan started it, but Jonathan did not complete it. And even after his tenure, remember that second Niger bridge has not been actually fully in use. So maybe Tinubu will finish the fine-tuning before we now use the second Niger bridge. He talked about what he did during PTA. PTA was just my appointment when he was head of the PTA as to the bedsheet and all things to get to the hospitals. Fine. But I say Buhari's goodness lies in his personal life, not in public life. In his personal life, he was very frugal. He was very, very conservative. He looted kind of stupendous acquisition of wealth. He is a disciplinarian per person. But in public life, zero. That's where I'm going. You don't just open your mouth as a leader and say anything you like that can lead to people's death. He talked in 2012 that if he didn't make this election rigged, marbles and monkeys would be soaked in blood. Some coppers died because of this statement, because people took to the street and was jamming everybody who was conducting an election. So these are the things you don't expect of a leader. So you don't, in public life, I don't see anything so spectacular, wonderful. Buhari will be remembered for in public life, because when he came in 2015, a lot of contractors went back to site thinking it was the same Buhari of 1983. A lot of political officers ran away, only for the man to keep himself 9 months without ministers. Then we now know Nababa goes slow, so you don't do anything again.
Thank you very much. At least you admitted that he's war against indiscipline with Tunde Diambo.
I give Nikudo for that. Okay. We still maintain some of those legacies up to today.
Also,
yes.
Thank you very much for your views.
Thank you for having me, Doctor, this morning.
And I would like to also extend my thanks to Mr. Osito Kechukwu, former DG, Voice of Nigeria. On this note, I would like to thank you for being part of the program today. My name is Luke Mbo. Nigeria, we hail thee.